Next, we are going to take up receptors as drug targets. Receptors are the proteins, they are crucial to body communication process. Majority of these are embedded in cell membranes. And in this topic, we are going to discuss how the drug will target the receptors. This is the diagram where we can show you this is receptor proteins which is embedded in the cell membranes. This is the cell membranes which is also called plasma membranes. So small part of the cell membrane which is called plasma membrane, and here receptor proteins are embedded in it. This is the outer surface of the cell membranes. This is the binding site of the receptor. Here we have interior of the cell, inner surface of the cell membrane. So receptor proteins are embedded in the cell membrane in such a way that their small part possessing active site projects out of the surface of the membrane and opens on the outside region of the cell membrane as we have discussed. Here in our body, the message between two neurons and between the neurons to muscles is communicated through certain chemicals called chemical messengers. Now, these are the chemical messengers which pass on the message from one neuron to another neuron or neuron to muscles. So, in first diagram, receptor is receiving chemical messenger. And here, after the chemical messenger attaches to the binding site, the shape of receptor changes. The shape of receptor has changed due to the binding between chemical messenger and the receptor. Now, after some time, receptor regains its structure when the chemical messenger is removed from the receptor. So these are these three stages: how the chemical messenger pass on the message, how it gets attached to the receptor, and how it is removed and its structure is regained. To accommodate a messenger, the shape of receptor site changes as we have seen. This brings about the transfer of message into the cell. Thus, a chemical messenger gives the message to the cell without entering the cell. There are large number of different receptors in our body that interact with different chemical messengers. These receptors show selectivity for one chemical messenger over the other because of their binding sites have different shapes, structure, and amino acid composition. That is, depending upon its shape, structure, and amino acid composition, a particular chemical messenger only can bind with the site of the receptor. Drugs that bind to the receptor site and inhibit its natural function. Now, once the drugs bind to the receptor, its natural function, it will not carry out its natural function, and thus drugs are called antagonists. And these are useful when blocking of message is required. There are other types of drugs mimic the natural messenger by switching on the receptor, and they are called agonists. These are useful when there is lack of natural chemical messenger. Next, we are taking therapeutic action of different classes of drugs. First, we take antacids. Antacid neutralize the hyperacidity in our stomach by taking a lot of spicy food or oily food or even acidic food or sour food. Overproduction of acid, that is hydrochloric acid in the stomach, causes irritation and pain. In severe cases, ulcers are developed in the stomach, and only treatment for acidity earlier was antacids such as sodium hydrogen carbonate or a mixture of aluminium and magnesium hydroxide. Magnesium hydroxide is also called milk of magnesia and commonly used antacid. ENO, popularly known antacid, contains sodium hydrogen carbonate. Excessive hydrogen carbonate can make the stomach alkaline and trigger the production of even more acid. That is why this is not very useful. Metal hydroxides are better than alternatives because they are insoluble and they do not increase the pH above neutrality, means they do not make our stomach alkaline. These treatments control only symptoms but not cause. Therefore, these metal salts the patient cannot be treated easily for hyperacidity cases. In advanced stages, ulcers become life-threatening, and its only treatment is removal of the affected part of the stomach. And these ulcers are formed if we have continuous hyperacidity and its treatment is not done properly. Better way is using antihistamines. Why antihistamines? Histamine stimulates the secretion of pepsin and hydrochloric acid in our stomach. So the main cause of excess of hydrochloric acid is caused by histamine, which stimulates its secretion. The drugs which are antihistamines, cimetidine or Tagamet, was designed to prevent the interaction of histamine with the receptors present in stomach wall. And if the interaction between histamine and stomach wall does not take place, more secretion of HCl will not take place, and it can neutralize, it can prevent hyperacidity. This resulted in release of lesser amount of acid. The importance of the drug was so much that it remained the largest selling drug in the world until another drug, Rentidine or Zentec, was discovered. Histamine also a potent vasodilator. It has various functions. It contracts the smooth muscles in bronchi and gut and relaxes other muscles such as those in the walls of fine blood vessels. Histamine is also responsible for nasal congestion and sore throat and your cough and cold. They are normally due to nasal congestion, and it is caused by histamine. And it is commonly linked with common cold and allergic response to pollen. Common cold is a allergic disease. Synthetic drugs, bromophenramine and terfenadine, act as antihistamines. That is, they suppress the action of histamines. They interfere with the natural histamine action or natural action of histamine by competing with histamine for binding with the sites of the receptor where histamine exerts its effect. And these drugs bind with the receptor instead of histamine and prevent the action of histamine. So they prevent allergy, or anti-inflammatory action also is prevented. Now the question arises, why do mentioned histamines not affect the secretion of acid in stomach? Reason is that the anti-allergic, that is anti-inflammatory, and anti-acid work on different receptors. That is the reason their actions are also different. And use of antihistamine does not prevent the secretion of HCl because their drug targets are different. Receptors are different. Next, we are taking neurological active drugs. First, we take tranquilizers. Tranquilizers are and analgesics are neurologically active drugs, that is, they affect our nervous system. They affect the message transfer mechanism from the nerve to the receptor. Tranquilizers are a class of chemical compounds which are used in treatment of stress, strain, mild or even severe mental diseases. They relieve anxiety, stress, irritability, or excitement by inducing a cell of false well-being, false sense of well-being or happy mood. They form an essential component of sleeping pills, and those tranquilizers which are used for sleeping pills are called hypnotics. These tranquilizers function by different mechanisms. For example, noradrenaline is one of the neurotransmitters that plays a role in mood changes. If the level of noradrenaline is low for some reason, then signal sending activity becomes low and the person suffers from depression. So if you are asked a question, what causes depression in us? The reason is low level of noradrenaline. In such situation, antidepressant drugs are required. These drugs inhibit the enzymes which catalyze the degradation of noradrenaline, which causes low level of noradrenaline. If the enzyme is inhibited, the important neurotransmitter is slowly metabolized instead of fast metabolized and can activate its receptor for longer periods of time, thus counteracting the effect of depression. Iprionazid and phenelzine are two such drugs which decreases depression because they deactivate the enzyme. Some tranquilizers, namely chlorodiazepoxide and meprobamate, are relatively mild tranquilizers suitable for relieving tension. Equinil is used in controlling depression and hypertension. Derivatives of barbituric acid such as veronal, amitril, nembutal, luminal, and seconal constitute an important class of tranquilizers. These derivatives are called barbiturates. These tranquilizers should not be used for a long time because they are habit forming and they cause addiction. So that is why their use should not be done. They cannot be used without consulting a doctor, and they should be used for the periods for which they are prescribed because they are habit forming. Barbiturates are hypnotic, that is sleep inducing drugs. They are particularly given after the major surgery. Some other substances used as tranquilizers are Valium and serotonin. Next, we are taking the class of compound analgesics. Analgesics give relief from the nervous pain like headache, toothache, body aches, etc. Analgesics reduce or abolish pain without causing impairment of consciousness. That is, they don't make you unconscious. They do not create any mental confusion or incoordination or paralysis or some other disturbances in the nervous system. That is, they only give relief to the pain. Therefore, these analgesics are classified in two categories. One is non-narcotic, which are non-addictive. Another is narcotic drugs, narcotic analgesics. Non-narcotic or non-addictive analgesics, aspirin, paracetamol belong to this class of analgesics. Aspirin is the most familiar example. They give relief to the pain, and aspirin and paracetamol are also used as antipyretic, that is, they bring down the temperature of febrile body. So all antipyretics are analgesics, but all analgesics are not antipyretic, because when you have fever, you have pain also in the body. That's why all antipyretics must be analgesics. But analgesics are only used for relieving pains, so they may not be antipyretic. Aspirin inhibits the synthesis of chemicals known as prostaglandins, which stimulates inflammation in the tissues and cause pain. These drugs are effective in relieving skeletal pain such as due to arthritis. These drugs have many other effects such as reducing fever, antipyretic effect, and preventing platelets coagulation. This effect is most important and is being used to prevent heart attacks. Because it has anti-blood clotting action, aspirin finds use in prevention of heart attacks. So those who are heart patients, they are given every day ecosprin or aspirin, ecosprin particularly, which dissolves easily. So this prevents heart attack due to blood clotting. Heart attack may be due to blood clotting, so it prevents blood clotting and therefore prevents heart attack. Narcotic analgesics. Morphine and many of its homologs, when administered in medicinal doses, relieve pain and produce sleep. In poisonous doses, these produce coma, convulsions, and ultimately death. Narcotics have a disadvantage that they are habit forming. They are only given in acute pain like terminal cancer or cardiac arrest or cardiac pain, acute cardiac pain, not ordinarily. Morphine narcotics sometimes are also called opiates since they are obtained from the opium poppy. These analgesics are chiefly used for relief of post-operative pain, cardiac pain, and pains of terminal cancer and childbirth. But they are rarely given. They cannot be given regularly because they are habit forming.